Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking a bit of a trip. We're heading to the Middle East, specifically to the legendary beekeeping regions of Yemen.
We are, because we're looking at a substance that's often called liquid gold.
Yemeni Sidr Honey. And this isn't just about how it tastes, right? This is all about function.
Exactly. This is honey that comes from the flowers of the Ziziphus spina Christi L tree. That's the Sidr tree. It's been called the Manuka of the Middle East for a long time.
The Manuka of the Middle East, I like that.
It's a premium monofloral product, but we're here today because that legendary reputation, it's now being really rigorously validated by modern molecular research.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're not talking about just, old traditional remedies anymore.
Yeah.
We're talking about a potential frontline weapon.
A weapon against some of the most dangerous, multi-drug resistant bacteria on the entire planet.
So our mission for this deep dive is to get into the science, understand why this honey is so powerful, both as an antimicrobial and an antioxidant, and why its huge price tag. We're talking, what, maybe $200 a kilogram?
At least, yeah.
Why that value is suddenly looking completely justifiable, but in a serious medical context.
Well, our sources show that for millennia, people have known honey as a healer. You have the ancient Greeks using it on burns, Persian physicians using it to treat inflammation.
Right.
But the new research moves way past that. It's giving us the molecular playbook for how Sidr honey is actually fighting back against antibiotic resistance right now, today.
So let's start with the product itself. Why is Sidr honey seen as so elite? Beyond that high price, what really makes it unique?
It really comes down to two things. Purity and tradition. It's monofloral, so the bees are only visiting one type of flower.
The Sidr flower.
The Sidr flower. And it's harvested in specific regions, like Wadi Dawn, but the key is how they harvest it. The traditional methods, they're all designed to preserve these incredibly delicate enzymatic components.
Things that would be destroyed by heat or processing.
Exactly, especially glucose oxidase. This careful process also means it has an extremely low water content.
And that low water content, that leads to this incredible sensory experience. I was reading that the flavor it's really rich, almost like caramel, but the consistency is the real giveaway.
It is. It totally is. The winter harvest can be so dense, so thick that it's like caramel toffee, but then it just melts instantly in your mouth.
Wow.
And that purity, that intense concentration of compounds, that is exactly what sets the stage for its medical power.
Okay, so that purity is great if you're buying a luxury food item. But the world is facing this huge growing crisis with superbugs. We need more than just luxury.
We need effective defense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's pivot from the honeypot to the hospital ward.
Right. And to really appreciate what this research means, you have to understand the enemy. We're up against the escape pathogens.
That sounds like a supervillain team from a comic book, and I guess in a way it is. What does escape actually stand for?
It's an acronym. It stands for 6 types of bacteria that are just the biggest challenge in medicine today. Enterococcus faecium, Staphylococcus aureus.
S. aureus, we've heard of that one.
For sure. Then Klebsiella pneumonia, Acinetobacter baumannii, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and Enterobacter species.
And here's where it gets, truly terrifying. The name escape isn't just a name, it's descriptive.
It is. They're defined by their ability to escape our normal antibiotics. They just shrug them off.
So common infection suddenly becomes this complex, life-threatening problem.
Precisely. They're considered a top-tier global health threat. They're the #1 cause of fatal hospital-acquired infections.
Nosocomial infection.
Nosocomial, yeah. When you have bacteria that can resist our last resort drugs, things like carbapenems, we are in very, very serious trouble.
Which is why scientists are, frankly, scrambling for alternatives. And that search is what led them right to Sidr honey.
Testing this potent natural agent against this collection of resistance champions.
But how did they do it? How did they take this raw, expensive honey and figure out where its power was coming from? They didn't just, dip the bacteria in a jar of it.
No, they were much more systematic. They created 2 different extracts. First was the ST extract.
Okay.
That's the total ethanolic extract. So think of it as representing the whole honey sugars, water solubles, everything. The complete package.
And the second one?
The second was the SM extract, the secondary metabolite extract. That's a highly concentrated dose of just the specialized non-sugar compounds.
So like the active ingredients.
You could think of it that way, yeah. The concentrated power.
And comparing these two, the whole product versus the concentrated power. It led to some pretty amazing results, especially against the infamous S. aureus.
It really did. Against S. aureus, both of them, ST and SM, showed incredible activity. ST had 94.2% inhibition, and SM was right there at 93.5%.
Wow, that's almost identical.
It is, and it puts them nearly on par with the standard antibiotic control they used, which was cephalosporin. But that, believe it or not, was not the biggest breakthrough.
No, the biggest breakthrough, the real aha moment, was about biofilms.
Yes.
And for anyone listening who hasn't heard that term, biofilms are basically these like slime layers that bacteria create to protect themselves.
The shield. It's a shield against drugs, against your immune system. They make infections almost impossible to clear out.
And in this case, the total extract, the ST, it was the star.
It was superior. The entire honey composition working together had this powerful anti-biofilm effect. Against P. aeruginosa, another key escape bug, the ST extract, inhibited biofilm formation by 68.2%.
Okay, 68.2%. That sounds good. But how does it compare?
Well, here's the kicker. In that category, the total extract actually exceeded the performance of the standard antibiotic, imipenem.
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I'm hearing this correctly. You're saying the whole natural honey extract was better at breaking down the bacteria's slimy shield?
Better than the purpose-built pharmaceutical drug they compared it to,
Yeah.
yes.
That is incredible.
It did the same thing against C. albicans yeast, which often causes co-infections. It beat the standard drug fluconazole. The synergy of the entire honey matrix seems to be the key.
Just incredible. And it wasn't just fighting bacteria, right? The honey also proved to be a powerful antioxidant.
Absolutely. Which is vital for helping tissues heal from the damage an infection causes. They ran all these different antioxidant tests.
Yeah.
And while the concentrated SM extract was the strongest in one specific test, the total extract, ST, generally had the highest overall activity. It even scored higher than the established Trolox standard in a major assay.
So whole honey or concentrated extract, either way, you're getting this huge antioxidant boost.
A massive boost.
Okay, so we know that it works. Now for the really fascinating part. How does it work? This is where they brought in advanced chemical analysis and computer modeling.
Right. And we can basically break the mechanism down into two simultaneous attacks.
2 lines of attack. I like it.
So first, you have the traditional attack from the total extract, the ST. This relies on 3 classic honey weapons. First, high osmolarity.
Meaning the huge sugar concentration just sucks the water out of the bacteria, dehydrates them.
Exactly. Then you have high acidity. The honey has an average pH of about 3.9, which is very hostile to bacterial growth.
And the third.
The third is the slow release of hydrogen peroxide. That comes from the glucose oxidase enzyme we mentioned earlier.
Okay, so that's the general broad chemical assault. But the really targeted attack, that came from the concentrated SM extract.
Correct. The SM extract is where the star players are. Using advanced tech, they identified 3 major phenolic compounds: chrysin, ellagic acid, and caffeic acid.
These are like nature's specialized pharmaceuticals.
That's a great way to put it. And this is where the computer modeling came in. They didn't just guess what these compounds did. They ran a virtual test and in silico screening.
And what did the simulation say they were targeting?
It showed a very strong attraction, a strong targeting of a crucial bacterial enzyme called DNA gyrase, or GyrB.
Whoa, okay, before we lose anybody, what is DNA gyrase? Why is blocking it so devastating for a bacterium?
So think of it as a tiny essential machine. It's the machine that has to unwind and then rewind the bacteria's DNA every time it tries to replicate or repair itself.
Oh, okay.
If you block GyrB, if you jam that machine, the cell cannot reproduce. Its DNA basically spirals out of control, and that leads directly to cell death.
So it's like sabotaging the blueprint machine at the factory.
Precisely. It's a mechanism that many of our most modern antibiotics also try to use.
An ancient remedy with a completely modern mechanism.
Yeah.
But which of those 3 compounds was doing the most damage to this GyrB enzyme?
They use something called molecular dynamics simulation to figure that out. It's like running a super advanced computer model of the actual physical interaction.
And the results?
The results pointed squarely at chrysin and ellagic acid as the 2 primary agents. They had the highest binding affinity, meaning they latched onto the enzyme and just jammed it with incredible stability.
So the big picture, the takeaway here, is that the power of this honey is a 2-pronged attack.
Yes.
You've got the whole honey, the total extract, hitting the bacteria with this general chemical warfare, the sugar, the acid, while at the very same time, these super potent phenolic compounds are going in for a precise molecular strike on the bug's core reproductive machinery.
It is synergy, verified at the molecular level.
So to wrap this all up, this research really provides definitive evidence for why Yemeni Sidr Honey is so highly valued.
It absolutely does. It confirms its effectiveness against these critical, multi-drug resistant escape pathogens. It validates its traditional use, but it also gives us the precise molecular reason for its premium status.
That targeted inhibition of DNA gyrase.
That's the one.
And this all raises a really interesting final thought for you, the learner, to take away. The study confirmed just how potent the total extract, the FT it was, because of that synergy, the sugars, the phenolics, all of it working together.
Right. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. And we saw in the sources that some people consume this honey in its absolute rawest form. They eat the entire honeycomb, sometimes even the whole hive matrix, which has the honey, the pollen, the royal jelly, everything. So the question is, could that even more complex natural matrix, all those compounds held together exactly as the bees made them, could that somehow enhance the delivery or even the ultimate efficacy of these compounds in a way that even a lab extract still can't fully replicate?
That is a powerful question. It suggests that sometimes the best pharmacy might just be the hive itself.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
We hope this deep dive into liquid gold has made you just a little bit more well-informed. We'll see you next time.